Hello out there. I'm in my kitchen today and I just want to show you how easy it is to make coffee with a French press. It really is not that hard. People tell me all the time, I'm sure your coffee is great, but it's just too much work for me. It's really not much work and it saves me a lot of money, and I have delicious coffee and you can too. I've got my water on to boil in a very normal tea kettle, nothing fancy about that. I've got my French press. It was used yesterday, so it's dirty. First thing you gotta do is clean that thing with soap and hot water. I'm just going through the whole thing so you can see how easy it is. Take your old coffee grounds, give it a little shake. It goes in the trash can. All right, rinse. Rinse the rest out down your garbage disposal if you have one. If you don't, it might be a little tougher. So, just a drop. Rinse, rinse. Take your top, put it in the soapy water. Soapy, soapy. Get it all clean. Water is getting hotter and hotter on the stove. I don't even have to do anything with that. It does it by itself. It's amazing. Clean French press. And just rinsing off the plunger. Okay. So far, so good. Now, the other thing I do, if you really want to have good coffee, you roast your own beans. Let me show you how I do that. I'm not going to do it right now. That only takes 10 minutes with this. It's a popcorn air popper. You just put your unroasted beans. I'll show you what those look like. People always like to see that. And this is how I really save money, because you can get unroasted coffee beans from all over the world. I get a whole box of it for $50, and it lasts me months. Months! 50 bucks sounds like a lot until you realize that it's lasting you months. You save a lot of money in the long run, and that's smart. This coffee right here is from Rwanda in Africa. I got it from sweetmarias.com. When I run out of coffee, that's where I go. Sweet Maria's, shout out. I get awesome coffee from all over the world. I just stick, let's see. There's my measuring cup. It's from my grinder. I don't have a fancy grinder. It's just a rotary grinder. Put that many beans in my popcorn popper. Turn it on for 10 minutes. It does take. There's some mess involved. You got to clean up, and it takes a little practice to figure out how dark you want your beans. But other than that, it does everything for you. In about 10 minutes, you have really delicious coffee beans. Mine are a few days old now, but still pretty good. The coffee I made yesterday was delicious. I don't really measure stuff, so mine's kind of inconsistent. I'm just not the kind of guy who measures stuff in the kitchen much. If you are, then your coffee might be even better than mine. All right, I hear the water's beginning to boil. Let's get some beans ground. Now, one of these days, I do want to get myself a burr grinder. I've known for years, I've heard for years that makes your coffee taste even better. Not sure if I really believe it. Not sure if I have a refined enough palate to be able to taste the difference, but might as well try it someday. I just never have gotten around to it. I was going to get it for Father's Day, but then there was some other stuff I wanted to get for Father's Day instead, so still don't have my burr grinder. Still using the old rotary grinder. No big deal. And like I said, I don't measure, but I've been doing this for years, so I know about how many beans I like in my coffee. Into the grinder they go. set it for medium. Now, I usually make espresso in the afternoon, so I do change that setting for a finer grind. But for a French press, you want a coarser grind. Pardon my noise. You gotta make a little noise to make your coffee, especially if you're gonna use a rotary grinder. It's really early in the morning here. I was just so excited to show you guys some of the stuff that makes my life rockin'. Smells so good. Oh, water is ready, and I am not, because I'm too busy talking. Okay. After I grind my beans, I like to put a little water in it. Not warm, not cold, just it's a little bit warm, so you don't shock the beans. I learned this trick from Martha Stewart probably more than 10 years ago. I've been doing this a long time, y'all. My coffee is very good. Give it a little stir. It'll have a light brown layer on top. And yeah, that's ready to go. And you can really smell it. The light brown is called a bloom. Bloom, like a flower blooms. Coffee also blooms. Not a lot of people know that. Has any of this looked difficult so far? It's freaking easy. Hot water. I like to put about an inch or two of hot water in and give it another stir. See that bloom? Camera keeps going out of focus. Look at that. See those bubbles on top? That's the bloom. It's delicious. And I fill her up. My wife and I drink a lot of coffee, which is why it's important to keep your costs low. And the great thing about coffee is when you roast it yourself, you keep your costs low and it's super delicious. I make some of the best coffee in town. And it doesn't require much effort. This tastes way better than your Keurig stuff. Now the Keurig is faster, of course, but you're buying stale coffee. I mean, there's just no way around that. This doesn't take any more effort than a Keurig. It takes a little bit more time, but it's so worth it, especially when you consider the money involved in buying coffee. And if you're going to talk about, you know, treating people well and treating the earth well, you don't know where a lot of your coffee comes from. And even if it says something like, oh, what's that phrase people put on coffee? Fair trade. I've heard even that doesn't mean what people think it means. In fact, I think the Sweet Maria's website talks about that some. It's worth looking into. It's just been a while since I've read it. That's the other great thing about Sweet Maria's is you can go to their website and see exactly what farms they got these coffee beans from and how they prepared the product that they put in the bag for you. It's really amazing. And this doesn't go stale. Okay, this will last forever. Once you roast it, you only get 2 or 3 good days out of it, and that's what most people don't know about coffee. If you're buying your beans pre-roasted, I mean, if you're buying your beans already ground, forget about it. But even pre-roasted, it's already stale by the time you bought it, unless they use some fancy freeze-dried process or something. I don't know much about that. Probably you do already know that you leave this for about 4 minutes. That seems to be the magic number everybody likes, and it works for me. So yeah, there's nothing hard about making coffee in a French press. You stir it a bit. Still got a really nice bloom on top. feel like I'm saying that word funny. Bloom. What country am I from? Bloom. I am from the world, all right? Put a lid on there to keep it warm while it brews. That's the technical term. This coffee is brewing right now in my French press. And I read on some website years ago that scientifically, this is actually the best way to get to derive the flavors that you want from your coffee beans. Right now I've got all these coarse grinds floating around in there, and the hot water is extracting delicious flavors from those tiny little bean pieces. That's about all I really know about that. Not much. Oh, I forgot to mention, because I do it automatically out of habit, which is good, you'll get there. I put the hot water that I didn't put in here, I put in this nice little steel carafe. I'm preheating the inside of the carafe so that when I put the hot coffee in it, it's not going onto cold metal. It'll stay hotter longer if you put it into hot metal. So right now this is full of boiling water. No, not full actually, it's probably only about that much. That's enough. Swish it around and get it all warm in there. Probably hasn't been 4 minutes yet, but I can't wait, darn it. Sometimes I don't let it go the full 4 minutes. Sometimes I let it go too long. Doesn't make that much difference. All right, pouring out the hot water. There have been several times when I forgot to pour out the hot water and I added coffee to water. It just weakens it a bit. It's not that bad, but I definitely prefer to not weaken it. I just plunged it. See how easy that was? You don't want to go too fast. Just gently plunge. Now all my grounds are at the bottom. There's no hurry here. No worry. No hurry. No worry. It's just coffee. So now my grounds are at the bottom, and the coffee I want to drink is all up here. Now I just put it in the carafe to keep it warm, and not just to keep it warm, but you want to definitely separate your drinkable coffee from the grounds. If you don't have a metal carafe, it's okay. It's just your coffee is going to get cold soon, and it's not going to taste as good because those grounds are still sitting there at the bottom, and it just tastes better if you separate them after about 4 minutes. Coffee. Let's enjoy some now. Even if you're just no matter where you got your coffee today, hope you'll enjoy it a bit with me. And I hope you'll agree that was so easy. Yeah, it took a few minutes, but you know what? Anything doing well is going to take a little more time, and it's worth it. Not only because it tastes delicious, not only because you save money, but it's an easy little skill to develop. I don't know, maybe it'll impress your friends. I don't really care about that. But just doing things with your hands, creating something that wasn't there before, feels good. And if you're not doing something like that, this is an easy one to start with. I'm not a big guy in the kitchen, but I do a few things, and this is one that I do well, and I feel good about that. And I do feel that I make some of the best coffee in town, and that's nice, especially because I love coffee. Cheers! See you soon.